Hello everyone, welcome back to a new video and welcome to the March writing plan with me. And we're gonna begin with wrapping up February. So in last month's video where I talked about February and my plans for it, I said that I had nothing to do in February. Lo and behold, I had a lot to do in February. So when I filmed that video, I had a plan of first contacting a beta reader and sending the sequel to Gods of the Ruin out for a beta reading feedback round. But other than like finalizing my own stuff in the document before sending it to a beta reader, I didn't really have any writing goals. I thought that February for me would be a relaxing, fun month for me to do like a lot of hobby things. So reading more, maybe writing on a new project. But I completed some of my goals for February, and one of them was that right after I filmed that video, I contacted my beta reader and she said that she was currently reading another manuscript, like beta reading another manuscript, so she couldn't take on another one, but she would contact me when she could. But I don't even think it was February yet. Maybe like the 1st of February or the last of January. She contacted me saying that she could take on the manuscript now. So on the 2nd of February, I sent her the document, and then I also sent her my Google Forms that I created for the document. Questions about the book, the characters, what she liked about it, what she didn't like about it. Since I didn't remember how long it took for her to read the first book, I kind of thought that she would take like up to 2 months to read it, because it is not a big book, like it's not 100,000 words, but it is 83,000 words. Or I think it was 83,000 when I sent it to her. So I think that is still a big book. So I didn't expect for her to read it fast at all. But then she got back to me on the 16th, I think, of February, saying that she has read the full novel. And she said that she read it so fast because she couldn't put it down, which is, for me, a good sign. So since then, I haven't touched the manuscript. Let's just begin with that. I have read through her feedback, and I'm gonna do a video going through her feedback from the Google Forms, because I think that's a really interesting kind of video. I have gone through some of the comments as well in the document, but I did that up to like the halfway point, and I didn't see a lot of comments, which was good. She also said that like my sentence structure and my wording and my use of words and vocabulary and stuff has improved quite a lot since she read the first book, which I was so happy about, because in Gods of the Ruin she did comment quite a lot. Like, she made a lot of comments while reading that. So I think for this particular edit, and I'm gonna talk about this a little bit later in the March plan with me, I think this edit will be a lot of the ground pillars of the book, changing maybe a few scenes, adding a scene. And I don't think I have to work a lot on my characters, because she said that the male character, for example, was really good developed, and that his character was her favorite character of all the ones in the books. But that was really fun to see, because the male character is a new one that we're introduced to in the book. But she also said some things about the main character for book 3, that is a side character in book 2, that she wanted to see more from her. She was not a flat character or underdeveloped character, but she didn't really care for the character enough to like feel really excited to read the third novel. She still said like it was I think 9 out of 10 to read the sequel, but when she had read Gods of the Ruin, it was a 10 out of 10 of interest to read the sequel. I don't think my book suffers from the second book syndrome that much, because I feel like it is a good story in of itself. So while this was going on, I did not sit and just roll my thumbs. I actually got back from my editor and the publisher with the proofreads. All my talk about I'm not gonna do anything, and then I got a book idea as well in the beginning of February or like late January. I got a new book idea, and I started filming a video for it as well. All that fun talk, complete nonsense. I got back from my publisher with the proofreads, and when I say it was a lot, I'm not exaggerating. It was so much work, and I'm still to this day sitting with that proofread. I have gone through all the comments, and I did this during February. I've gone through all the comments, but there was 2 particular scenes, the epilogue and a scene in chapter 11, that needed more work. So when I had gone through everything, I talked with my proofreader. I also talked with my editor, because there was a very big misunderstanding in the epilogue that needs to be fixed. And I think we can fix it in a really simple way, like adding a little bit of description, changing a sentence or deleting a sentence. And I hadn't had this problem before, but the proofreader mixed up 2 characters into one. And that is a big problem, because it is the main character's grandfather and the main character's love interest in book 2. And we meet the love interest and the grandfather in the same epilogue, like in the same chapter. And I thought that I had like described the two very differently, and that we could like understand, so that the reader would understand that this is 2 different people, but apparently not. I have now sent my book to my editor again, and she will go through the epilogue and see like if we can mix things up a little bit so that the two are distinctively different, and the proofreader won't, or any reader won't be mixing them up, because that is such a huge problem, because it's her grandfather and her love interest. They are not the same people. There was also things that the proofreader, like, why does this love interest, why does he have empathy for the character? I have just gotten to know him, the grandfather, and he didn't have any empathy at all. Like, what did this come from? Blah, blah, blah. But that just says in my mind that I have made them different, but I think there was one sentence that made the proofreader think like this. So we need to get rid of that sentence. Like, it is, in my head, it's a big issue, but I think we can solve it quite easily. As you can see, my mind is a little bit of a mess, but right now the manuscript is not in my hands, and I'm very thankful for my editor that she's going through it right now, seeing what she can help me with, because editing otherwise is a very isolating experience, if I can say that. I feel like, especially on social media, when you write a book, you share like every bit of experience with that, and you may even share inside information about your novel to your friends, like writing friends. And it's all very exciting and new, and people like the drafting experience and like talking about it to friends. But I feel like the editing, you don't see much of that on social media, and if you do, it's very like secretive. And I have done this as well. When I talk about editing on social media, like especially Instagram, I don't go into details what is wrong with the book. I just talk in like a vague sense of this is my experience, but not going in too deep to talk about it. Anyway, it's kind of isolating, so therefore I'm very grateful for my editor and the proofreader, so that I am able to reach out to them and get help or get a second opinion. Like for example, all my suggestions, I need someone to approve of them before I write them. So that has been my February. I have worked 50%. I have sent in an assignment for school and started a new one. And I've also been brainstorming that new project that I got very early on in the month that I couldn't outline, sadly. But maybe I will do something about that in the future. Maybe it will be like a short story or a novella of a kind that I could write really fast just to get it out of my system and maybe publish one day. But that's really all that happened in February. So let's get into the March writing plans. And all I can say for the proofreads of Ghostwriter Brewing is that my deadline was for the 5th of March to be like completely done with this editing round. So now when it's with my editor, I'm not going to do anything, but I think I will get it back before the beginning of March, and definitely before deadline. So up until March 5th, I will go through the last bit of the proofread and then send it back to them. So I'm beginning to see the light in the end of the tunnel with this book, but it's still quite a lot to work on. But as soon as I send the book back to the editor, I will begin editing the sequel. The sequel that has been with a beta reader now, and I have all the feedback and the comments. So now I just need to sit down, film that video when going through the feedback, and make an editing plan. Because I have already gotten some ideas of how I'm gonna fix certain things. So that's my big ideas for March. Edit the sequel to Ghostwriter Ruin. And I don't have a deadline for this book to be finished. I don't even know how much I'm gonna work on it before I send it to my publisher. I am comparing this to successful authors in the US, for example, that I follow. They write like a first draft and send it to their editor like right at once, because they are so successful that they don't need to edit anything themselves. And then there's levels of this, like if you have one book published, you may have to like edit some yourself, and then some people are just so good at writing that even though they have only published one book, they can still send a first draft to their editor. I think that me having gone through it once and then twice after the beta reading round, I think I'm gonna do like a last round of like proofreads myself, and I don't know if this will take me 1 month or 2 months, I don't know, but that's the plan for March at least. But enough said about that. Let's talk about the book that I read in February and the books that I plan on reading in March. The first book that I finished in February was The Wallflower Wager by Tessa Dare, and I gave this book 5 stars. I listened to it on audiobook, and the narration of this series was so good, and this one in particular is so sunshine and grumpy tropey that I couldn't not give it 5 stars. The female main character has like her own animal shelter. She takes in the animals that are sick and has been through trauma, or they like doesn't have a leg or something. She takes them in and takes care of them. But then we meet Gabriel Duke, which is also called the Duke of Ruin or something. And I think you could guess that he is the grumpy one in the relationship. So yeah, 5 out of 5 stars. And then I also read, and I talked about this in last month's video, where I had begun reading this book, and that is Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, and I gave the book 3 stars. I don't know why I had a problem with this. I think it was because of the female main character actually, because I really liked the male main character, and I don't know So it was just a middle of the road kind of book for me, and I think I wanted more from the romantic relationship, because the female character is like, she is against all type of romance. And when I read the synopsis of this, it says something like the male character is doing everything he can to like be romantic and get Danny Brown to understand or like romance, I guess. But he wasn't that romantic in my eyes, and the relationship wasn't as romantic that I would like, maybe. So I definitely liked Get a Life Chloe Brown better than Take a Hint to Danny Brown, and I think I'm gonna enjoy the last book even more than especially this one, but maybe Get a Life Chloe Brown as well. Then I read Barbarian Alien by Ruby Dixon, the second book in the Ice Planet Barbarian novels. I gave this book 4 stars. I gave it the same kind of rating as the first one. I think I like the first one better though. There were some aspects of this one with Liz and Rahush, whatever you want to call him. There were some aspects of their relationship that I really liked, especially his like insecurities about himself, and especially in the beginning, him thinking that he is such a brute that she doesn't like find him attractive or anything. And I really liked Liz's headstrong mindset, like she's gonna fight for her mate whatever it takes, like that kind of deal. So I really liked that about the book. And then I listened to The Duke and I by Julia Quinn, the first book in the Bridgerton series, and I have seen the first and second season of Bridgerton. When I first watched the first season, I couldn't see really a problem with it until people pointed it out that there is a problem like in the third act, and what causes the third act breakup between the two love interests is that the female character kind of forces the male character to create a child. Let's just say that, or try to create a child. And it's iffy in the books as well. I think it's both iffy, but when I listened to that part, I felt like the book was more iffy than the TV show. That part was very vague about both her, the female character's internal thoughts, because we were with her when she made this decision. It was very vague about like her intentions at all. And then they talk about like, I didn't mean this to happen, I didn't do it in that way, like I didn't force him, blah blah blah. But then it's also vague saying that, or maybe I did force him. And then I don't like that the male character, I think it says like stop or something, and she still keeps going, and then he thinks back on it saying that he didn't do anything to prevent it, but it still feels iffy, you know. So I gave it 3 stars because up until then I had been enjoying the novel, but that thing really bums me off. But I'm very excited to read the sequel, and I'm actually listening to The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is from Anthony's point of view, and I already know the story kind of. So far I think I enjoyed the TV show better. I've only listened to like 24 minutes of the audiobook, but I think I enjoy that better because of the representation of people of color and other types of culture in the TV show. But I'm very excited to see where the book is going, and I'm also very excited to read Benedict's and Colin's book, because that is something that we haven't gotten to see yet in the TV show. So I like to get like ahead of the TV show, if you know what I mean. So that's what I read in February, and then listening to The Viscount Who Loved Me currently. Still going on with The Iron Wolf by C.D. Patterson. I'm listening to that when I can't sleep. I was sick also during February. Don't think I mentioned that, but I had trouble falling asleep when I was sick. So I listened to The Iron Wolf, and I think I have like 2.5 hours left, but I can't bring myself to listen to it like to and from work. I don't want to listen to it. I think it's shit. But then I'm still currently reading These Violent Lights by Chloe Gong. I am this much into the book, so progress has been made. I am on page 300, like 139 pages left. That's not a lot. So I feel like I will definitely finish this in the month of March, and I'm still really liking it. I feel very immersed in the story, even though it's not going very quickly, the reading. I still find myself like, I want to read it when I go to bed at night. I want to keep reading, want to know what's happening next, and I can't say I like it so much that I will jump into the sequel right at once after I finish it, but I have it on my shelf, so I could if I wanted to. That depends on how this book ends, I guess. But really happy that I'm this much into the book. And then as a kind of palate cleanser or something quick to read along with this one, I need that sometimes. And during February, Take Linton Brown and Barbarian Alien was those books to me. But I'm currently actually reading The Chase by Elle Kennedy, which is another like spin-off series to the Off-Campus series, and this is called like the Briar U like series, Briar University series. It follows Summer, which is Dean De Laurentiis, can't pronounce his name, but it's his sister, and then it's his like buddy. It's a hockey romance, and like, I didn't think I was a sports romance gal, but I appear to be a hockey romance gal because I am eating these books up. And if you have any like hockey romance recommendation for me, please give them to me because I need them. So I am actually already, I think, 50% or 48% into the book, and I started this 3 days ago. This is a very quick read for me, and I'm very happy to be reading it at the same time as this because the books couldn't be more opposite of each other. And I am loving listening to historical romances. I have been doing it for like the last couple of 3 months, only listening to historical romance, and I love it. I think that genre is my favorite type to listen to, actually. I feel like I've talked so much in this video, but I hope that you enjoyed it, and leave a like and a comment below and let me know your plans for March and your accomplishments from February. Let me know in the comments below, and subscribe because I post a new video every week, every Thursday, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!